The Dodgers made some signings on International Signing Day. Who was the big prize? The Dodgers have built an empire here in LA. What does that mean, and what does it mean for the future? And FanFest becomes DodgerFest. We'll see what changes come with that. That's what we're getting into. So let's get locked on Dodgers.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yo, Dodger fans. Welcome to Locked On Dodgers. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one local sports daily podcast network. Locked On, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Jace Medical. Empower yourself when you purchase a Jace case, providing you with a personal supply of 5 antibiotics that treat 50 plus infections. Get yours today at jacemedical.com and use code Locked On for $20 off. That's JASE medical.com. This is the daily podcast covering the Los Angeles Dodgers, bringing you the smart fans' perspective on our boys in blue. You can find us wherever you find podcasts and on YouTube simply by searching for Locked On Dodgers. And if you want to become an everydayer, that's simply somebody that listens or watches every day. And that's all you got to do, and you'll be one of our favorite fans. If this is your first time listening, watching, welcome. I'm Vince Samperio, usually joined by co-host Jeff Snider, but he's still getting over a sickness, so I'm here for you guys today. Jeff and I are both lifelong Dodger fans that have spent time covering the team. We've been in the press box, been in the locker room. We've traveled around watching the Dodgers as fans, and we've been media as well, but we're not quite insiders. We're just here to bring you what hopefully is knowledgeable thoughts and takes about the Dodgers and facts and all that type of good stuff to make you an overall better Dodger fan. And once again, that's what we're here to do today. And it was a quiet day in the 2024 Dodger world. Not much went on, but it was a big day for the future of the Dodgers, as it was International Signing Day for all MLB teams, and the Dodgers were no exception to that. They announced that they signed 19 international free agents, with the prize of that being the number 14 prospect by MLB Pipeline, shortstop Emil Morales from Spain. All in all, the Dodgers signed 7 pitchers, 4 catchers, 5 infielders, and 3 outfielders. Morales is a 17-year-old. He trains in the Dominican Republic, but he was born in Spain. Like I said, number 14 rated prospect by MLB.com, MLB Pipeline, number 8 ranked infielder. And yeah, he's a guy who, from MLB specifically, says he's a big body prospect with the potential to develop into a game-changing power bat, the ability to manage the strike zone, and patient enough to draw walks consistently. He's currently 6'3", 180 pounds. You'd imagine he fills out a little bit on that and could still grow. He's only 17 years old. But yeah, a big, shortstop prospect. The Dodgers haven't had a lot of shortstop prospects kind of come through since Corey Seager. Obviously, Gavin Lux is one of those. But even, since then, they've had a lot of second baseman, third baseman, first baseman, outfielders, not so much any shortstops. So, like I said, it's somebody that not going to affect the 2024 Dodgers, but somebody we can see in the future, and somebody, that kind of what we talked about yesterday. It's either somebody we're going to see in the future potentially, or somebody that could help the team in a different way, whether it's, via trade or via, most likely via trade when it comes down to it. A couple other notes on Morales here from MLB.com. Says scouts have praised Morales' makeup and high baseball IQ, and he's shown great leadership abilities. So, all good things to be said. Beyond that, there was no other really top-ranked players that the Dodgers signed. A couple interesting names. One of them is, let me find it here, is Jackson Layaf, a shortstop out of Venezuela. He's cousin of Ronald Acuna Jr. So hopefully that Acuna Leia bloodline is close enough to where he has some of the talent, and you never know, might see a future star here with the Dodgers. Beyond that, you can kind of go down it, and we'll go through it. You got couple guys from, or one, two, three, four, a handful, a lot of players from Venezuela, a lot of players from Dominican Republic. They got a few from Mexico and a few from, and actually one player from Uganda, catcher Alan Atoji from Uganda. I believe the Dodgers now have 3 Ugandans in the pipeline in the farm system. So, interesting to see how that all, not a lot. Not I don't think any players from Uganda have made the majors yet. So it'd be interesting to see how that continues to build. But yeah, on the Dodger end, I think they had about 5 million to spend. Not sure entirely how much went into Morales, but uh, the Dodgers haven't necessarily had the best success with International Signing Day, or at least player. It's been a while since Diego Cartaya is one of them. They have a lot of guys that are currently top prospects for the Dodgers, or on the way up. That kind of filled it. The back, you remember that string of Cubans at the Dodgers signed, which was a little bit different. Those were more free agents rather than the International Signing Day, which are all subject to the international bonus pool money. But it's been a different way about it. But the Dodgers do have some, Cartaya being one of them, Tyron Liranzo being one of them. They got a few more that are coming up the pipeline. So it'd be interesting to see where these guys turn up. But most of these players that they sign are 16 or 17, so it'll be a while before we see them around the league. The Padres signed the number 1 international prospect. The Mets signed another Vladdy Guerrero. This one spelled Vladi, but also son of Vladimir Guerrero and half brother of Vlad Guerrero Jr. So beyond that, there was a lot of other signings from a lot of other teams. Nobody that we're necessarily too worried about. But yeah, the Padres got Leodalis De Vries from the Dominican Republic. He's a 17-year-old shortstop. So good for them. But yeah, in the sense of the Dodgers world, it was Emil Morales and a bunch of names that we may one day talk about more, or we may one day, or we may never mention them again. But that was the update from the Dodgers on International Signing Day. The next topic we're going to talk into, and maybe leans in a little bit into this, is this Dodgers, quote unquote empire that, or maybe some calling it the evil empire, or the evil empire West, as the Yankees are known as the evil empire on the East. But kind of what goes into that. Who kind of brought it up recently, which is former closer Brad Lidge. He kind of talked about the Dodgers, and we'll also talk about Chris Archer, who, if you remember, we mentioned that he signed, or he got a role with the Dodgers in kind of a front office advisory, type role. He talked a little bit more about that on Foul Territory, and kind of said why he picked the Dodgers, which kind of leans into this empire thing. So that's what we're going to get into. So make sure to keep it locked on Dodgers. Today's episode is brought to you by Jace Medical. It is a trying time in the world. There is a lot going on, and I know you guys come here to escape the realities of life, but you can't always escape those realities. And right now, according to the FDA, pharmacies are running out of antibiotics like amoxicillin, and we're right in the middle of the worst flu season in over a decade. So, there's things to have some concerns about, but Jace Medical is here to help quell some of those concerns, because they have a Jace case, which is a pack of 5 different antibiotics to treat a long list of bacterial illnesses, including respiratory infections, sinusitis, skin infections, UTIs, and more. All stuff that could happen to any of us. So if you want to get your own Jace case, all you have to do is go to jacemedical.com and complete your physician encounter. It'll be reviewed by a board certified physician, and your medications will be dispensed by a licensed pharmacy at a fraction of the regular cost. It's very easy to do. Go ahead and go check that out right now. That's jacemedical.com. And if you use the promo code locked on, you get $20 off your order. That's JASEmedical.com. Offer code locked on for $20 off. Today's episode is also brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience is what brings home the winning trophy, and it's also what keeps your ride or die alive. Your ride or die being your car. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at all the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. I want to thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day. Make sure to subscribe and wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube, and become an everydayer by listening or watching every day. We're here for you every Monday through Friday for about 30 minutes. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Speaking of the Locked On Podcast Network, they have some 24/7 streaming channels on YouTube that might be of interest to you. You got Locked On Sports Today, which can be found or which can provide you with news and stories and updates from the sports world 24/7 from all the Locked On hosts and other experts. Or you can go to Locked On Sports Los Angeles and have the same expertise and everything else, but just for the LA sports team. So go check those out on YouTube and subscribe. And let's talk about this newfound or new term, or maybe not new, but seems to be getting more traction now, of the Dodger Empire. And Brad Lidge, who used to be an all-star closer in the big leagues, he was on MLB Network Radio, and he talked a little bit about this. And it will go straight with his quote. He said, quote, "You can say whatever you want about unfair advantages, but the fact that they've won as consistently and as continuously as they have made Shohei Ohtani say, I want to go to that team. And after that happened, and after how that contract was structured, everyone else just followed suit. Give them credit for the empire they have created, for the winning ways they have demonstrated over the last decade." And this is something we've talked about in varying degrees and varying stages in the sense of the Dodgers, and why Otani chose to be a Dodger. Winning was one of the things he mentioned. Why Yamamoto chose to be a Dodger. Winning was one of the things he mentioned. Why those two guys, can lead to more guys coming this way. Teoscar Hernandez signed a 1-year deal when he had multiple multi-year offers on the table. You would imagine he's going to speak to the media today, so we'll probably find out a little bit more. But you got to imagine that winning played a part in that, and obviously the money helps, but having the chance to win a World Series or be on a winning team is something that you can't take for granted. Tyler Glass now, obviously he was his home, so signing an extension, the money's always part of it, but would he have signed an extension even if this was his home team? Let's just say he the Dodgers were his home team, favorite team, but let's just say he had got traded to the Angels, who are still, SoCal, and a team that he probably, at least knew about when he was growing up, if not attending a few games. Would he have been so happy to sign an extension to stay there, knowing that they haven't made the playoffs in so long, and they don't necessarily seem to have a future right now? We don't know. They do have a lot of young players, and they still have Mike Trout, and maybe Anthony Rendon will figure it out, but it doesn't seem like somewhere that you go for stability right now. And Anthony Rendon. Speaking of Anthony Rendon, he kind of mentioned he was on a podcast recently, and he kind of mentioned that he knew Shohei Ohtani wasn't sticking around, and for somebody who's being around the team, I'm sure a lot of the players might have known, but to be that sure about it, it's not necessarily all because of money. Sometimes it's because you want to be winning and you want to be happy. And I think what Brad Lidge said is, yes, the Dodgers have advantages, but they're not the only team with those advantages. The Yankees, the Mets, those are other teams with a lot of money. The Phillies have spent money recently. They've had more success at it. The Braves are up there now. They've had more success at it. The Padres just tried it, not as much success. But, you think about the last 10 years, and the Dodgers are the only team that have made the playoffs all those 10 years. And having more money than everybody else does help. But as we saw last year, the Mets had a lot of money invested in that payroll, didn't make the playoffs. Yankees had, a pretty good amount of money invested in that team, didn't make the playoffs. The Padres had a lot of money invested in that team, didn't make the playoffs. It's everything around the team that you have to build. And, it's been a process. Those earlier teams that the Dodgers had that started this string of postseason appearances weren't necessarily the most talented teams that they've had on this string, but they were able to put, they made the Adrian Gonzalez trade, and they did different things to keep a winning product on the field while they were rebuilding, the bottom part. Because with when Guggenheim took over, it was not very. The team on the field was pretty decent, but there was no depth. There was not a lot in the farm system, or there was coming, in the pipeline, but there wasn't a lot invested because of McCourt in the past. So, it took a lot to kind of build what it's done, and Andrew Friedman has been a big part of that. And I think that's this Dodger empire that he's talking about, is that nope, there's other teams with these advantages. If it's just straight monetary advantages, there's other teams with it that haven't been able to do it. So the Dodgers do get that credit. And I do think it's something that players will start to value. I think, especially when it comes to, long-term deals are going to be interesting, because it's one of those where you want to get your money as a player. Mike Trout, I think he could have noted, or he could have seen the writing on the wall that, hey, you know what, maybe it's not going to work out here. But he still signed that extension, and maybe Artie Moreno and whoever else was talking to him at the time, maybe they made him some false promises. But I do think players are going to start valuing, happiness and winning a little bit more. There's still going to be guys going after money, and a lot of guys are going to be going after that money. But I do think the Dodgers have money. The Dodgers have stability. The Dodgers have winning. The Dodgers are always looking at ways to improve. We just talked about it yesterday with that Michael Busch trade, and maybe that being a new way for the Dodgers to keep this thing going. Whether it's creating or trading for younger prospects to turn them into legit prospects, to trade for help on the actual team, to help the actual team by playing, or to keep them in the system, and maybe do the same thing, trade them off and get more young guys and turn them into, legitimate prospects that can, some way help the team. I think there is, the money is obviously a huge part of it, but like I said, there's other teams with a lot of money that don't necessarily get and do what the Dodgers have done. So I think they deserve that praise. And you kind of look at it now, and, their team on the field is pretty set for the next 2 seasons at the very least. You got Freddie, Mookie, Otani, Yamamoto, Glasnow. You got all those guys for at least 4 more years. And then, Bobby Miller is under team control for all those years. There's still a core that's in place right now that you're not going to have a lot of space on the major league team, but you're going to be able to build around it, whether it's somebody comes in and, becomes a player for the Dodgers, or somebody comes in, or like in the form of, talked about Tasker Hernandez signing a 1-year deal. Baseball is not like basketball, where, you're going to have guys maybe ring chasing a little bit. In basketball, you get a lot of older veteran players that they'll take them in, vet minimum, and, try to sign on to a team that has a good chance of winning a championship. And in basketball, it's a little bit easier to kind of pinpoint what those teams are. Football, a little bit as well too, but not as easy, not as easy and not as consistent as basketball. But I think baseball doesn't have that necessarily, but the Dodgers could start having something of that nature, or where players want to come to the Dodgers. And, maybe money isn't the most important thing. It's still important, not Shohei Ohtani still signed a $700 million deal. Even if that value is said to be $460 million, he still signed that deal and did everything he had to do. Yamamoto, regardless of AAV and all that, he still got 325 million. The money is still part of it, but they also wanted to come here. And I think, that's where the Dodgers kind of have that advantage right now, and hopefully keep on to that advantage by winning championships and continuing to show that they have that. The other second part of that is something that Chris Archer mentioned. He signed on to a role with the Dodgers in the front office and kind of moving stuff around. We're going to get into what he said and kind of how that helps this whole empire continue to move on. But we're going to go somewhere else first, so make sure to keep it locked on Dodgers. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL regular season's over. The NFL wildcard weekend is over, but there's still time to get in on the action with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, because right now new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. You don't have to win that $5 bet. You just have to place that $5 bet. And when you place that $5 bet, you'll get $150 in bonus bets right into your account to use on a variety of things. You can pick straight up winners, who's going to win next weekend in the NFL. You can pick who is going to, are the Lakers going to win their next game, or, whatever the case is. You can check the Explore tab, which is in the FanDuel app, and you can see which bets are popular right now and what people are taking on their bets. You can go to the Parlay Hub and help build a parlay and, see what other people are building in their parlays and kind of bounce ideas off that. You can build your own parlay and do all that. And there's so much you can do with the FanDuel app. You got to go download it and check it out. And make sure you visit FanDuel.com/locked-on and make your first bet right now. Go do it. $5 bet, get $150. There's no way that you don't do it. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. I want to thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day. Make sure to subscribe wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube and get notified when our next episode or latest episode is available. And remember, you can go beyond the podcast and become a Locked On Dodgers insider at joinsubtext.com/LockedOnDodgers. You can text message with Jeff and I, ask us questions, get our instant reactions to things that happen. Once the season starts, maybe get some or some exclusive videos from Dodgers batting practice if I'm there at the game. So little things like that can all be had. All you got to do is go to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnDodgers and get started. All right, let's keep talking about the Dodgers and keep talking about this empire. Chris Archer was on foul territory, and he talked about his new role with the Dodgers, and basically said he went to Andrew Friedman's house, and he had a relationship with Friedman from his time with the Rays, and when he signed that deal with the Rays, and Friedman kind of told him, "We will give you the flexibility to kind of do whatever you want to do. If you want to be a manager one day, we can help out with that. If you want to work in the front office one day, we can help you with that. If you want to be a coach, or if he did mention if you want to put the jersey on in any capacity, not sure if Chris Archer is thinking about a comeback, but basically, Chris Archer has the ability to do what he needs to do. And Chris Archer kind of mentioned, like, yeah, I talked to Friedman and I've talked to some other teams, and why wouldn't I want to be with the Dodgers? He called them the #1 organization in baseball. And he said, if you don't believe they're the #1 organization in baseball, you believe they're probably the #2 organization in baseball. And he said that he went to some workouts from minor leaguers in Arizona, and that he was basically blown away of how the Dodgers do business and how they handle their business, and how that led to, him kind of realizing, like, yeah, the Dodgers are the team to beat in the sense of, an organization. And he said he's been on other teams and seen how they handle things, and he's talked to people from other teams, and the Dodgers were still stood out in that sense. And that's part of this entire empire of the Dodgers, the entire organization. And you always hear people on the same page, people want the same goal, people want whatever. We talked about it yesterday in the sense of the pitchers and how they help guys become better pitchers, or utilize their weapons that they have. And that's where the Dodgers do win. The ultimate goal of the organization is to win a World Series. and they're doing everything they can possible. So that's, player development in the minor leagues. That's, maximizing the player talents that they have on the major league level. That's, identifying who they want to bring in or who they feel they can, bring in and help out. And, guys like Evan Phillips, we talked about yesterday, or guys like, Max Muncy in the past, Chris Taylor in the past, and give the guys the freedom to kind of, be themselves, reinvent themselves, or figure out themselves, or help them be the best version of themselves. And that's, kind of what Chris Archer was saying of how it's different over here. And, that's part of that empire. So, just a final note on that of, we're lucky to be fans of this team right now in the sense of how this organization is run. And while it is tough in October sometimes, hopefully that'll change, and it'll just be all roses for being a Dodger fan. So speaking of being a Dodger fan, there used to be a thing called Dodgers FanFest, and it's still going to be a thing this year, but it's not called Dodger FanFest anymore. It's called DodgerFest, and it is not free anymore. The Dodgers announced that it would be on February 3rd at Dodger Stadium, and tickets would cost $10. In the past, FanFest was free, but there was things that you could pay for in the sense of autographs and different things. I haven't seen anything about autographs this year. However, the Dodgers did say that Shohei Ohtani will be at Dodger Fest. Mookie Betts will be at Dodger Fest. So, for me, I'll probably have to, be there for this or for my job. So, the $10 isn't going to affect, but it is, before it was just free to the public. Anyone could show up and go. Then you had to get a ticket. It was free, but you still had to, have an actual ticket in order to get into the event. That was more for crowd control than anything else. And I think I think the charging of $10, people are going to say, oh yeah, we have to pay for Ohtani somehow and everything else. And maybe that's possible, somehow indirectly, or not indirectly, but that's part of the thinking. I think it's just to make sure that people don't just get tickets and then decide not to go. The Dodgers want to maximize, the fans that do go to this, and make sure that the fans that want to go to FanFest or DodgerFest now will be the ones that go. And, while $10 isn't a lot to some people, and, you might just say, well, let me get a ticket for $10. And if I don't end up going, I don't end up going. But I do think it's a little bit more of a commitment to go to Dodger Fest and make sure that, the Dodgers have the best representation from all their fans there. So in the end, there's still going to be a lot of the same, in the sense of there's still going to be the interviews on the big screen. There's still going to be whatever they've had in the past, and I'm sure it's going to be a fun day. And like I said, the $10, it'll be made fun of a lot because it has been free in the past, but it seems like it's going to be a little bit more organized in that sense, and make it kind of worth that excitement. They have it presented right here on the website as they're going to have a stage show. It says, join us for a 90-minute stage presentation featuring interviews with Shohei Ohtani, Tyler Glasnow, as well as visits from Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, Joe Kelly, Dave Roberts, and more. There's going to be player interviews, fan Q&A, insights into the upcoming season, and much more. So you're still going to have the LA Dodger Foundation yard sale with, old bobbleheads and shirts and all that kind of stuff. They're still going to be selling the mystery bags, the bags that can contain autographed baseballs, jerseys, and photos. And they're still going to have, I'm sure, some of the booths from different vendors and stuff like that. So, if you got your tickets, I might see you. Well, yeah, I'll probably be there. So I'll see you there if you find me. And if not, and tickets are still available, you should go get them and get excited. This is, we've talked about it a couple of times now. Like, this is the most excited I've been for a Dodger season in a long time. And I do think, me personally, I've been jaded, not by the Dodgers, not coming through in October the last few years, the last 3 years specifically, but when you work in like the baseball field, there's just so much going on, and you don't get to fully appreciate the Dodger fandom sometimes. And that combined with some of the early exits that haven't been fun to watch. But I'm excited for I'm excited for Dodger season to come up, and I'm excited to see what this Dodger Fest is. I'm excited for pitching and catches to report. I'm excited for spring training to start. I'm excited for the games in Korea. Like, there's so much to be excited about. Otani, Glasnow, Yamamoto, like Teoscar, like all the new guys. How's Gavin Lux come? There's just so many storylines now, and I think it's a fun time to be a Dodgers. And FanFest kind of always kicks off Dodgers season for a lot of fans, and I do think that this one is going to be one of the more exciting ones as a fan. And like I said, the Dodgers seem to be bringing all the heavy hitters from the team to be there for it, and I'm sure they'll be excited. So Dodger Fest is here now, and I'm excited to see what it looks like. So that's going to do it for today's episode. Thank you all for listening. Thanks for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day. Make sure to subscribe and become an everydayer by listening or watching every day. We're here for you for about 30 minutes every Monday through Friday. We are easy to listen to on your commute to work, commute to school, when you're getting ready for work or school, when you're at the gym, when you're just at home chilling, whatever it is. We are here for you, and we'll be here for you every Monday through Friday throughout the entire season. Remember, Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. They have Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Sports Los Angeles, two 24/7 streaming channels on YouTube that are giving you news and stories from around the sports world and from around the LA sports world. So go check those out and subscribe. Remember, you can go beyond the podcast and become a Locked On Dodgers insider. All you got to do is go to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnDodgers, and you can text directly with Jeff and I and have exclusive content and exclusive insights to some of our thoughts on things. So go check that out. Beyond that, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at Locked On Dodgers. Jeff is on Twitter at Snider. I'm at Vincent's91. You can DM us for any questions, comments, or concerns. You can also send those via email, lockedondodgers@gmail.com, or via voicemail text at 323-863-5625. We're here every weekday morning, and we hope you'll be here with us. When you get in your car, or if you're at home, take your smart device, play a podcast, Locked On Dodgers. And remember, you don't have to agree. You just have to listen. Have a good one.